the other day, Hayley came home and was like, I'm quitting my job.
Yeah, and he's like, don't quit your job. Nah, don't. You can't afford it. And I was like, all right, I won't. And then I came home, I was like, I've got news. I quit my job. And he's like, what?
I think we were about 100K in debt at that point, personally. It was, what else we got? Okay, there's probably 20K sitting in your car, their house, that's got to go.
We've made a rule, no business in bed.
Yep.
Even like if you're falling asleep and he's like, oh, but what about? I'm like, no.
Welcome to Add to Cart, Australia's leading e-commerce podcast that express delivers all you need to know in the fast-moving world of online retail. Every week, Nathan Bush from eSuite and an e-commerce industry expert will share the news, research and insights that you need to know to keep you at the top of your game. And of course, keep your customers adding to cart.
Hello and welcome to Add to Cart. My name is Nathan Bush, host of Add to Cart and director at e-commerce talent agency eSuite. Today, we're getting into bed with Hayley and Andy Worley from the Sheet Society. See what I did there? No, it's not even funny. It's probably even bordering on creepy. Anyway, Hayley and Andy started the Sheet Society because they wanted to make the worst job in the world, putting sheets back on the bed, easier. And they wanted to bring beautiful design into the bedroom. They started 4 years ago with a 20K investment, shooting web content on their iPhones, and they even sold a car to pay for stock. They're now generating over $15 million worth of sales every year. They have a retail store, a team of 50, and operate out of a 3,500 square metre warehouse in Melbourne. Stay tuned right until the end, where we get a very special Add to Cart exclusive on a big move for the Sheet Society. So thanks to our partners Shopify Plus and Signet, here's our conversation with Hayley and Andy Worley from the Sheet Society.
Andy and Hayley Worley, welcome to Add to Cart.
Thank you.
Hey, Bushy, how are you?
Good. We've been trying to line this up for so long, but things like just having kids gets in the way of it. How's it all going for you guys?
Yeah, I think we were really in the thick of it when you first said come on, and we were like, oh, I don't know, we're not the best people at the moment. But yeah, Miller's now nearly 6 months, and we've got Jake who's two and a bit. So yeah, we're through the thick of it.
Yeah, we just have to find time for us to be like in the same place.
Yeah.
And with quiet. So it's taken a good few months.
And sane.
A couple of days in daycare now, so
cool.
We can get some time together.
Brilliant. So we're here to talk about your other baby, the Sheet Society. For anyone who hasn't come across the Sheet Society, can you give people an idea of what Sheet Society is?
Yeah, well, that's probably a me question. We just made the idea of shopping for sheets fun. You know, I had a really shit experience in a department store buying a set of sheets, and, you know, where they were wrapped in this little plastic brick of a block, and I thought I was buying quite a conservative colour, but when I got home it had this like neon orange piping around it, and I was so disappointed. I'd unfolded it and I just past the point of being able to return it. And I just thought, why is the experience of shopping for sheets so different to the experience of shopping for clothes? Like when you buy a new outfit, you take it into the change room, you take off all your clothes and you try on something that you haven't paid for yet. I just couldn't understand why those two experiences were so different, and set out to build the business of making sheets.
Brilliant. And from what I understand, you started with a 20K investment and grew this beast into $15 million. Sounds easy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. 20K. Gosh, that was a while ago. That was kind of just the start of it, hey?
Yeah, it was 20K of like startup money, and then I remember having to call mum before their first shipment arrived because I hadn't factored in like the import charges. So before I'd even launched, I was already asking for favours. It's a bit of a myth, isn't it? People say like it's startup money. And I feel like we needed a lot more money just to keep going. And like no one says keep going capital.
No, exactly. And what was the hardest part about going from this idea of unwrapping the sheets that were shit and then bring it to reality?
Gosh, do you reckon day one when we launched the website and then we Googled ourselves and couldn't find it? and wondered how it all worked.
Yeah, we'd had the Instagram and all my friends. I was like, "Come on, but the Sheet Society, buy our sheets." And then everyone was Googling the Sheet Society and like flicking through, like got to page 6, page 7, page 12. And there were like music sheets. There was Google Sheets. There was all of these things. And we're like, hang on, we've got a website. Why can't Google find it? Like, how come no one can find us? So we had absolutely no idea. So, yeah.
Just starting from scratch, learning every bit about how this all works. I mean, Hayley, expert product developer, I'd say. And then it came to the marketing and e-com side and we were very fresh.
Yeah. So it leads to the question of how do you make sheets exciting?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so many things that you can improve about the product. And I think like changing the bed is like the shittest household activity. And you just dread it. Yeah. And the worst is when you've stripped your sheets and you've washed them and it's Sunday and they're still not dry. And you're like, do I sleep on this bed without any sheets?
The worst is when you go to bed on a Sunday night, it's like 10 o'clock and you get there and you go, oh, I didn't finish that job. The worst feeling in the world.
And so when you're doing that, if you've got like those pesky little buttons when you're changing a quilt cover, that's annoying. So we've swapped it over for a zipper. The fitted sheet elastic, if that's, I've had ones before that go all crunchy and that they're not stretchy enough. So we fixed that with our signature ribbed elastic. I made them extra deep. So you're not really like having a workout, just changing the bed. And then the colours and textures as well. Like I'm a big believer in colour really being used to translate your personal style, and it can really say a lot about yourself. And you wear a new outfit to express your personal style, and yet you're sleeping in these sheets that are either plain white or hand-me-downs or race cars on them still. And why isn't your bed an expression of your own personal style?
I guess so many weird looks with my race car sheets.
How many people have you got in your bedroom?
It's another podcast in itself.
Did you know that Lush Cosmetics have committed to being naked 50% of the time? That means free from packaging, you sickos. But when packaging is used, it needs to meet stringent environmental guidelines, including being 100% recyclable. So that's when Lush joined forces with our partner Signet to provide an eco-friendly outer packaging solution, which helps get their products in the hands of retailers in perfect condition while making a minimal environmental impact. To see the packaging solutions that Lush Cosmetics use, plus 5,500 other solutions, visit signet.net.au and up your e-commerce packaging game today.
When you are creating these features of sheets and you're designing this to kind of take sheets to the next level, how do you communicate that to a brand new audience to go, hey guys, we're not just another sheet company, we're doing things differently?
It's through all of the different things. And I think by having a product that has so many unique selling points and features and benefits, by having a really good marketing funnel that speaks to a lot of those points, we might hit them with like a styling inspiration video, and then we might talk about our invisible zipper, our free express shipping, or all of these little points. One of them is bound to resonate with you.
Yeah. Absolutely. And did you say 3 years ago, when did we start?
Feb 2017.
That's right.
So right in the middle of like the Instagram boom for e-commerce, was that fair?
Look, it was right after,
Just
I reckon. Yeah, and it was probably like a good year or so after that. So we knew from the get-go that we weren't going to be able to generate the type of following that we could organically. And we hadn't done, those tactics about, creating a blog and then selling something afterwards. We were late to the game in that, but it's been a bit of a blessing because, we realized early on that our time and money was better spent just paying for the correct targeting and actually using digital marketing the way it's intended. And it's actually a great tool if you're willing to actualize that cost in your first margin. And that was a really turning point for us, I feel. We factor in our first margin of cost of goods and cost to sell those goods on digital channels, and paying for that has really changed the game.
And do you work to a specific ROI target?
Yeah, we do. Well, it used to be 2, and then it was 3, and then it was 4. Just steadily working away, and we're trying to stick to around about a 10 at the moment in rice.
That's a high target.
It is a high time.
Yeah, and a lot goes into that. Like, we have quite a high repeat customer rate. So, if you factor in that in terms of the whole digital landscape, maybe we just need to send you another, hey, this is new ad, and then that's enough for you to check out. You don't have to go through the whole funnel again.
Yeah, I read that you have a returning customer rate of around 30%. And correct me if I've got any of this information wrong, because I often do. But I read there was about 30%. And I can imagine that sheets isn't something that's always on people's mind or a frequent purchase. Do you have any other tactics to bring people back in for that second, third, fourth purchase?
You'd be surprised, Bushy. I reckon that's maybe you don't buy sheets that often.
I reckon that's probably it.
There's definitely a couple of distinct groups in there. There's the people that, that you just buy a pillowcase to test it out, and then you go, right, this is amazing, I'll go and get the whole set. Or then the people that get the set and they have the best sleep of their lives and they love it, and now they can't sleep on any of their other sheets, so they're going to instantly replace the entire linen cupboard. And then, there's people more like you that maybe 6, 7, 8 months need a new set.
Look, people like me is that my wife orders the sheets and then they just appear. And I've got no idea how frequent they are or where they come from. Of course, they come from the Sheet Society. But I just don't play a part. Now, Hayley, I saw a quote from you that says that you're building a brand, not just a product. We've talked a little bit about the product. What did you mean by building a brand, not just a product?
Look, I think if you think about the product, it essentially is like a lifeless piece of fabric.
There's your next marketing campaign.
I mean, we've had jokes with our videographers before, and we're like, breathe some life into this inanimate object that just sits on a bed. And so it really does need the brand to bring that to life and to help tell that story. So that's exactly why we can't just sell you a sheet for a sheet's sake. It's why we sell you a sheet that reflects your own personal style, and a sheet that performs better than anything else, and a sheet that it's got free shipping and all these 5-star reviews. And everything that makes up a brand is all of those other components, right down from the product and obviously the labeling and everything we stand for as a brand, right to like our warehouse and the way we interact with each other as employees. So everything to me falls under that heading of brand.
And then the sheets speak for themselves, I'd say, once you get them and you get tucked up in bed. Yeah.
And in terms of building a brand and all those elements that you encompass, which is great, because a lot of people think of brand, you go, I've got logos, I've got colours, we're sweet, we're good to go. But it does encompass, a much wider range of things. What's been the hardest element to get right, or where you put the most effort into?
I think we put effort different areas at different times depending on where it needs it, so that we can incrementally bring up all areas of the business and make sure we focus on every touch point. I mean, very early on, it was developing the product, and it was developing a really efficient marketing strategy, and then we had some really good growth, and we had to really level up, the back-end operations and systems and tech stack, and implement things like WMS systems so that we could, keep matching the experience that we're presenting with what the reality was of the business as well, and then keep leveling up customer service and give them more, tools and freedoms to make everybody happy, really.
Yeah, so it's not one thing, it's just one thing at a time.
And as founders who started this business and now have a big and growing team, how do you keep the essence of what you want the brand to be throughout all those teams?
Yeah, that's something we're really struggling with at the moment. We've grown our team really quickly. Like we were maybe 5 or 8 people this time last year, and we've got about 45 on
50 on payroll.
Payroll now. So that's our new challenge. How do we still keep connected to our team as founders, and how do we clearly articulate the vision so that everyone is clear on what they show up to do every day? So we're trying that at the moment. I can't give you a definitive answer, but defining the mission and the vision and the values, and we really see people as the missing or the last kind of little link.
It was very easy, when it was just me and you around that kitchen table. We got it. We spent a bit of time and a couple of workshops really getting it out of our heads, like what the why is, what the reason for this all is, and what the values and what culture we want to create. And we recently kind of published that out to the team in our own way. And, we're starting to kind of work that through into the ways of working, which is super nice.
Yeah, and you got that feeling, Andy. You gave me a quick tour of the head office when I was in Melbourne. And as soon as you walk in those doors, it felt like you're in someone's house. Even though it was an office attached to a warehouse, it felt homely and nice and safe. I don't know, it was obviously intentional, but is there any tricks to kind of developing an office feel like that?
Oh, Hayley's definitely the interior stylist between us two. You should have seen the building beforehand, though.
Yeah, it was awful.
It's come a very long way.
But yeah, you're not the first person to say that. And I don't know how we quantified that, if I'm honest. But it is just the vibe and the energy that people bring into the office. Yeah, we take a lot of pride in the space that we work out of, and that's reflective on the work that we do in this space.
Yeah, it's cumulative of all the little things that we think about, because we're just working so hard to create an environment where everybody enjoys coming to and has a great culture, so people can have fun and do their best work.
And selfishly too, because we want to come to a great place that has a great culture.
Yeah,
oh, absolutely. People ask that even what we're creating at eSuite. It's like, how do you create a culture? It's like, as long as I just keep creating a place where I want to turn up to work every day, I think we'll be all right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. And fill it with the people you love too.
Yeah. Now, Andy, you mentioned tech before, and I could imagine that there's been huge changes in that amount of growth over the last 3 or 4 years. What's been the piece of tech which has really helped scale the business from your point of view?
Oh, there's a couple. I'd say one of the biggest kind of step changes was, and your sponsors will like this, moving from Shopify kind of regular up to Plus, because that really opened up that custom dev work that we could really get stuck into actually executing the vision in the online experience rather than simple product grids and things. So that really opened up how we structure our products so people could mix and match through the bed builder tool and things like that, and then open up the possibility of augmented reality that we've been working on. So that would be one of the biggest ones. And then for the scale-up side, implementing the WMS when we first moved over to the Brunswick warehouse was a big challenge.
So for anyone who hasn't got to the scale of needing a WMS yet, can you give our listeners a little bit of an overview on how that impacts your business?
Yeah, so that's a warehouse management system, and that allows us to really automate our pick, pack, and ship processes and label printing. I mean, before we had that system, we were printing out a pick slip for each order, running around manually, remembering where everything was, and just getting one of these, and bringing it all back, and then trying to find where that label was that went with that slip and that order. And there was just so much room for human error. I mean, it was fine when we were doing like 20 orders a day. You could manage it, but then when it was upwards of 1,000 and more, it just completely.
And you don't have a small warehouse.
Well, we did. It was 200 square meters, but now it's 3,500. So there's just no way you could run it in the same, nor would you want to. So now everything's barcoded, everything scans. Pickers just, they don't need to remember where everything is. They just get guided by handheld Android devices that go here, get one of these, put it here, and then as they do a complete loop with the warehouse, they come back with all the orders completely picked, and then the labels just print out, and then they go off to packers.
Beauty. And this isn't a high-tech innovation, but when you were showing me around the warehouse, one of the things that caught my eye was the custom boxes that you've created with your partners. And I don't know how to explain it. Can you explain it for me? Because I was like, that just makes so much sense, but I've never seen it before.
Yeah, it's so the shippers that come with the product in, when we were picking, we used to have to take the box off the shelf, open the box up, dive in, grab the item, put the box back. So we managed to get the suppliers to put like a custom perforation pattern directly on the front of the box, so that when it got into the warehouse, you could just punch a hole through it and rip the front off and create the pick face. So that you save yourself about 3 steps in the picking process. I was kind of inspired from like supermarkets. I used to work in grocery and working with Coles, so they need shelf-ready packaging that's efficient, and it all comes perforated and ready to rip off and put on the shelf. So
because they're built perfectly for your shelves that are on a bit of an angle and at the right height and all that sort of stuff. It's really nice design.
Yeah, we've thought of everything. On the heights in that warehouse, people used to be climbing shelves and it's
in a safe WHS way, of course.
Yeah. And more so now, there's no picking below knee height, no picking above shoulder height, no need for ladders. Yeah, it's much nicer environment to be in.
What's been the biggest lesson, I suppose, in that growth? Like, because we've talked about so much stuff from technology to culture to workplace. Has there been an aha moment where you went, oh, that makes sense?
Probably.
It's a broad question.
Yeah.
I'd say the importance of culture. I know we've kind of touched on it, but
Yeah.
you know, Hayley and I really get our energy from working really hard. Like 2020, pretty much head down, just going as fast as we can, trying to keep up. You know, we had a big realization that not all the team get their energy in that way.
Yeah, I think for me it's about really enjoying what you do and, you know, making light of it. Like we have photo shoots where, you know, you might change the bed like upwards of 25, 30 times and that's like a shit activity. But like, let's have a race and like, you know, I've done this one, you do that one. And it's all about pitching in and just making everything you do enjoyable and approaching it with the right attitude.
Normally photo shoots are a lot of fun, right? Like they're usually like a bit of a party atmosphere. Yours just sound horrible.
I mean, yeah.
Changing the bed
they are
nonstop.
fun and that's what I'm saying. Make them fun.
Awesome. All
Tell
right.
you what, they've changed. I mean, I remember we would rent Airbnbs and we shot the whole first website on an iPhone.
Yeah, the first photo shoot we did, we actually took our mattress from home and ratchet strapped it to the roof of our car. We didn't have roof racks. We just put it on the top of the car. And drove it to an Airbnb and even like shoots within the first year. I remember turning up to shoots and we obviously bring dooners to shoot with. I remember mine was still warm because it's the one that I got out of bed.
Still had your Uggies in there.
Yeah.
Speaking of cars, fun fact that I learned about you in a bit of research. I heard that you had to sell a car to buy stock for a Black Friday sale. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
That is very true.
Where it was about mid 2018, and we were, you know, obviously managing cash flow super tight, super stressful. You know, we had 5 credit cards, juggling balance transfer cards and 50-day interest-free periods on the Amex and PayPal working capital loans, and we just needed a bit more. I think we were about 100K in debt at that point personally, and we had nothing else left. Like Combank, we're not interested, thanks. And it was what else we got? Okay, there's probably 20K sitting in your car, their house, that's got to go.
How we get the mattress to photo shoots?
No, well,
This was before that? Or after? No, it was before that, actually. We put that on your old work car. And I remember Andy saying when I bought this car that don't buy a new car. Cars are an awful investment. And I was like, you know what, Andy, I'm really bad with money and I can't save for things, but I can pay things off. And so I just paid this car off. And then when we realised that we needed that money, I was like, see, it was a good investment in the end.
That's basically a savings account for you.
Yeah.
And then we were stuck in your mum's Corolla.
Yeah, Mum lent me her Corolla.
Nothing was rolling along in a Corolla.
Yeah, but that all came good. I mean, by December 2018, we'd turned over our first $1 million, which was nice, and all the cards got paid back, and we bought another car in about January time, I think.
Yeah.
Tropika is an Australian nutrition brand born on Shopify back in 2016, such a long, long time ago. 4 years later, volumes have increased, B2B has become a priority, and it was time to scale. This meant a transition from Shopify to Shopify Plus. And what a transition it was, with the addition of personalised discounts, cart optimizations, and a custom checkout. Tropika were able to increase their average order value from $89 to $94 across 15,000 orders per month. That is a sign of a very healthy partnership. To read more of Tropika's story and see other case studies, visit the customer section on shopify.com.au/plus.
Was that 2018 Black Friday, was that kind of a make or break point for you?
Look, it was. We were so deep in, and if it didn't come off, I don't know. Didn't know where we were. Because the goal from the very start is to stay kind of as self-funded as possible and not have to get investors and, you know, shareholders and things. So just, you know, keeps things nice and simple for us. We don't really want to switch our focus from, you know, pleasing customers and pleasing our team. So that's been the goal.
So is it a no to investment and third parties forever?
Gosh, good questions. Can't say forever. I don't know, but definitely
Not
it's
right
not on the
now.
horizon kind of at the moment. We just want to see how how far we can go and how big we can get it. And
yeah, it goes back to we just want to have fun, and answering to shareholders is just not fun.
Yeah. It's funner just talking to customers than talking to investors, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Just going back to the inventory piece, right? I remember walking around your warehouse, and Andy, you were saying about it looks like there is a lot of stock here, and there is a lot of stock here. It's because we've got to plan so far in advance for different sales and seasons and things like that. How hard is that, especially in today's climate of COVID?
God, what even is a forecast anymore? It's just, it was really hard. It's what 2020 was just, insane. It was all about get as much stock as possible, as quick as possible, and keep it moving and pre-ordering. And I guess we came a bit unstuck at the end of the year because we another lesson we learned was, if you get too much stock, you end up with no cash and a warehouse full of stock. So we learned a few lessons there.
Yeah. And is there any techniques that you use now to predict what stock and inventory you need?
Yeah, we recently hired our first merchandise planner, which we probably should have hired much longer time ago. And I always go, kind of baseline sales and layer on promotional uplifts at a multiple of base is kind of how I work things out. But then we've got the lead times to factor in as well. Our suppliers, a lot of manufacturing was shifting out of India and into China and causing a lot of delays and things through last year. So we were working on 4, 5, 6 month lead times on some styles. So we really, had to find the working capital to stay in stock.
Sounds like that's a common theme coming through is cash flow, especially when you're self-funded and bootstrapped, is that cash flow is the thing to keep an eye on. Do you have any tips for anyone who's kind of in your shoes 4 years ago around managing and keeping an eye on that cash flow?
Absolutely. Be all over every single dollar in and every single dollar out. Otherwise, you just lose track. We managed, or did in the past, manage cash flow almost to the day at times.
Yeah, Andy's been really strict with marketing spend as well. We've never written off anything for brand awareness, or we just haven't been able to. We haven't given ourselves that luxury. And, even today, we really keep ourselves accountable to that. And it's okay, if you're going to put this rock poster up in this area, what do you think the extra sessions will be? So making sure that the business is profitable is really important to keep growing.
Does that make it hard when you start thinking about, as you get bigger and you start thinking about things like above the line media, where it's harder to track direct conversions? Does that make that difficult to get into?
Yeah, it is. And I think Kate, our head of marketing, is really frustrated with Andy at the moment. She's like, I just can't track it, Andy. I can't tell you how many sessions will come through from a billboard. And Andy's like, well, if you can't track it, then why should we be doing it? It's just this constant battle in the office.
It's not about tracking. I just think, let's take a stab and make an assumption. And it's fine to be wrong. But if we didn't think it was a good idea, we wouldn't do it. So how good of an idea is it?
So it's not so much about being able to directly track, but actually being able to go, I think this will be the impact, the end impact that it'll have, this activity.
Yeah, just a gut feel over a period of time, just to justify the investment. It's hard. Yeah, it's a stab in the dark sometimes. But if we don't do it, we won't learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you caught my ear before when you said that you were looking at some AR technology. AR and bed sheets going together, the mind boggles. What are you guys doing in that space?
Yeah, well, we've built our bed builder. We launched that last year, and the business is all about mixing and matching. So we don't sell anything as sets, and you're encouraged to really create your own personal style that reflects you and your personality. So we didn't feel like we were able to offer that to consumers until we built that little model where you can have a play and add a fitted sheet and change it to like a blush pink or change it to terracotta. And so once we built that, that was a really big moment for us because I've been talking about that for a few years. And when that was up and online, I was kind of thinking, okay, well, what's the next big goal? And then I remember we were in a meeting and I was like, what if it was in AR? And everyone's like, oh, sure, okay.
And Andy's like, what's the return on that, Hayley?
Yeah, I know.
I was all in on that one.
Yeah. And so we put it out to our network, and then it turns out the girl who designed our store knew a guy who she met in a wine bar who was an AR designer, and he was right around the corner in Melbourne. And so we had a meeting with him, and he had just built another AR model. And, you know, we're in this meeting and he's like, okay, so any questions? And I was like, I don't know what to ask. I've never built anything, what do people normally ask you? And then we built it out, and it was a beast because we think it's the world's first configurator AR. So it's not just here's this bed in your space. It is something that you've designed out of 51 quadrillion options.
It's up to 512 quintillion different options.
Don't even know
Holy moly.
that it'll render in just a couple of seconds.
In your browser. So, something you've just designed in your space is just game changing. And yeah, it's so fun to play with. You're able to scan the corners of your bed, and then it drops this mattress over the top of your existing bed so you can see it with your wall colour, with your bedside tables, and really visualise it. You can walk up to it and through the browser look at all the textures and the pillows and things. So yeah, it's a bit of fun.
Yeah,
it's an exciting space. I think it's going to come a long way soon. But there are limitations with the current tech that's out there, based on, iPhones and Androids. But it's something we're really interested in, and just want to, keep an eye on that tech and keep innovating and seeing how far we can push it.
Is there any of those limitations that you think is holding it back from becoming mainstream?
Look, the experience isn't great. If the mattress moves around a little bit, the colours are really hard, and if you've got different lighting in your room, a lot of people only have artificial lighting, and so it is a bit hard to see the shadows and the true colours. So yeah, it'll get there though, I reckon.
Yeah, it's a really, really good start, I think.
And it's really interesting what you said there around you don't sell sheet sets, and then going into being able to create quintillion options of sheets and bedding and pillows and all that sort of stuff. It seems like there's two schools of thought at the moment around this for customers. Is either make it really simple, I don't want to think, just tell me, give me 4 options and I'll pick one of 4 and I'll be away. Or there's let me customize and personalize to my style. Have you found that giving customers so many options and so much flexibility has led to any kind of decision paralysis at all?
Look, it probably does, yeah. And we probably need to be a bit more mindful of that on our website, and we're going to go through a rebuild that'll launch before the end of the year. So, yeah, there is those two people, and how do we capture both of those? How do we really satisfy both of them? And we do a great job on our Instagram about showing you, inspirational looks with our colours. But, yeah, I don't think we do a good enough job of the person who just wants to come and just be sold something.
Yeah. Now, guys, I can't let you go without, your husband and wife team. I feel we've got a bit of your personalities across already and a bit of your differences. Take us into the working life of Andy and Hayley. How do you guys split responsibilities, and where do you pay each other off?
Yeah, when we first started working together, we wrote a list of what business functions there were and who got final say of those business functions. And that was actually really helpful because we had a few heated conversations and disagreements, and it was you've got to win this one, don't you? But now we've got a really opposite skill set, which is really funny because we've got really similar personalities.
We actually didn't know that when we started. It was just the kind of areas that we naturally fell into. I mean, Hayley is just a brilliant creative. But, I noticed early on that, some of the more technical and financial side and numbers side of the business just needed so much more focus. And I just naturally slipped into that side, which is what kind of I loved, and kind of leave Hayley to all the creative stuff.
And then I know what pisses Andy off when I've got these big ideas and haven't really thought them through financially.
Here's another one
vice
incoming.
versa. Yeah.
Mate, that's it. Yeah.
But I've got Andy down pat. If I've got an idea, I need to be really big and bold about it and give him a week to think about it. And then he usually comes around, and sometimes he spits it back at me like it's his idea.
Well, when it's refined into possibility, but that's it. Yeah, you throw amazing ideas at me and expect a yes straight away, and I immediately think about all the things that are going to go wrong. So it takes me a week of really honing it in and say, yeah, let's do it, but this is how we're going to do it.
But I think those tests that you can do online that talk to about your personalities, a few people go through them with the recruitment process. I think they're so valuable. Yeah. We can figure out, what fills Andy's cup and what drains his energy, and HR is something that really drains Andy, having serious conversations he's not great at, but give him a spreadsheet and he'll just be so energized by that. And I'm kind of the opposite. So it's figuring out how to structure your week and make sure that, if you've got a really tough conversation with someone in the morning, throw some spreadsheets in the afternoon to balance it out again. But yeah, I'm a
chill
really
out
big
with a
advocate
spreadsheet,
of
Andy. Just chill out.
Yeah, work towards your skills.
Yeah, that's awesome. But then do you find, because you know each other so well, that when it comes to key decisions that impact both of you, say a critical hire in your business, that you can kind of second guess what the other would think?
I'd say we're really well aligned most of the time.
Yeah. And sometimes Andy says yes, and I'm like, oh, I didn't think that was going to be a yes. But I think the thing that's really interesting lately is our team. They kind of know when to go to me and then when to go to Andy. That's been really interesting. And then they kind of assume that we talk a lot about our days at home, and we really try and make an effort not to. Like when we get home, like the time is for the kids, and, you know, we could talk about the Sheep Society all day, every day, but we need to switch off. So, yeah, that's something you're really mindful of.
Is that hard to switch off when you're growing so much and you've got so many ideas and it's always in the back of your head, right? Is it a real hard conscious effort to switch off around the kids?
Yeah, so hard. And even like we've made a rule, no business in bed. Even like if you're falling asleep and it's like, oh, but what about? I'm like, no, write it down. Talk to me about it tomorrow, because if you give me an idea, my head's just going to tick over all night. So, yeah, really setting those guardrails in place.
That's great. And my research has gone to the next level for this one, right? I heard that you guys met on a dance floor in St Kilda. Is that right? Was Andy dancing?
Did, yeah. No, Andy was sitting down.
No, I was standing up.
Look, we were both out on a Sunday night. It was
Definitely
around 2
pre-kids.
Yeah, absolutely, free kids. And then, Andy was sitting down and I kind of gave him the eyes across the dance floor and, hoped that he'd come over and talk to me. And we kind of I was with the mate at the time, we kind of hustled up next to him and, I was standing there for a while. He didn't come and talk to me. And so then my friend said, oh, Hayley, he's not going to talk to you. Let's just go. And I'm like, fine, let's go. And then Andy stood up from his chair, tapped me on the back, and he said, no, don't go. Oh. That was his first words. And then the rest is history.
Yeah, it's most
beautiful.
Yeah,
we're engaged 10 months after that, actually.
Oh, yeah, wow. So he sent me a message the next day and he said, we're going out tonight. I really need to see you again. And then within 4 weeks, he had to move back to England and I packed up everything and moved over with him. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And then who had the idea for Sheep Society?
Oh, that was definitely Hayley's idea.
Yeah. And did it take much convincing Andy to follow the journey?
Look, I didn't get a choice. And then Hayley didn't have any savings. It was all in the car. So I needed to dip into mine, and then I needed to make sure it was a safe investment and jumped in to back Hayley up on all the areas that she wasn't particularly strong in from the start. And the other day, Hayley came home and was like, I'm quitting my job.
Yeah, and he's like, don't quit your job. Nah, don't. You can't afford it. And I was like, all right, I won't. And then I came and I was like, I've got news. I quit my job. And he's like, what? And I work better like that. If I've got if it's do or die, that's when I'm like, okay, I need to pull out all the stops. And it's not right for everyone. And I'm definitely not recommending that to all of your listeners. But for me, we'd invested our life savings into the business and I was still trying to hold down a full-time job, shipping out orders at the post office on my lunch break. And we'd given all our money to it and I needed to give all my time to it to really make it thrive. And
there is such a different energy to a business when you've got to cut the rope and you've got to earn an income and a living from it as opposed to doing it as a side hustle, right?
Absolutely. And I needed that to really push me.
How would you recommend, having done both, how would you recommend anyone who's listening who might have a side hustle? Is there any triggers or any signals or any metrics, Andy, that you would go, now's the right time to make it a full-time gig?
I think when you've got opportunities, you've got opportunities that you can see are there that you just aren't allocating your time for. Yeah, I think that's a really big one. If you can see that it's holding you back, then go ahead. And, when I quit my full-time job, I still had to pick up some side hustle. Like I was making wedding dresses on weekends and then eventually phase that out. So, yeah, when I think you can see the opportunity there and it just needs more time, that's a really good decider. And I think you'll know when that feels right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice. And look how it's worked out. Perfect.
I know.
You're lucky.
Yeah, it was touch and go for a while.
What's next on the radar for yourselves and the Sheep Society?
We're actually going through a rebrand.
Bombshell.
I know, bombshell. So, we're going to be called Sheep Society, not the Sheep Society.
Okay. Any reason for that?
I feel like when I first started the brand, I wanted to call it The Sheet Society because I wanted to give it a bit more credibility. But now we've built this brand and we've got its own credibility. Like, it is just Sheet Society now, and that's just who we are. And we thought that was a big call, and then we researched how many people were Googling The Sheet Society. More people actually Google Sheet Society. So I feel like that's a good call. We're building...
Yeah, we've got to build our website from scratch again. We're actually still running on a out of the sandbox theme that we bought for $250 back in 2017.
Yeah.
Still going. Get some decent ROI out of that.
Yeah. And then, we're going to start looking into loyalty programs. Yeah, a lot of really fun projects in the mix.
Just a few small things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, if anyone's listening to this and wants to get in touch with you, especially Shopify theme builders, what's the best way to get in touch?
Thanks for that. We're just on LinkedIn. So, I'm Hayley Worley. And
Andy Worley.
Yeah.
I love chatting to other business owners.
Andy's got like a Friday slot where he just has other business owners in and chats to them. So if anyone wants one of Andy's Friday slots.
Look at you pimping Andy out now.
I know, he loves it.
No, that's awesome. I love that idea too, and that's what I'm finding in this podcast is that Australian e-commerce business owners are just so generous with their time, and the connection and what you can learn by sharing with other business owners is just phenomenal. So I think it's a great idea. Well done.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Someone said to me the other day that, e-commerce is so supportive because we're all just trying to get people to buy things online. And if we give someone a good experience buying things online, then that's better for other people selling things online because people are more inclined to shop online. So it is such a great community.
Yeah, absolutely. Hayley and Andy, thank you so much for giving us an insight into the Sheet Society and yourselves. It's great to hear your stories and Andy's dating techniques. So
They work.
They work. Take note. Thanks, guys.
Look, I'll level with you. I'm not sure any of the highlights that I'll pull out from that episode are going to top Andy's dating skills, but I'm going to give it a go. Here are my top 3 actionable takeouts from today's episode with Hayley and Andy. Number 1, even though the social advertising game is getting harder, and we're hearing this from a lot of retailers at the moment, the Sheet Society still aim for an ROI target of 10. That's 10 times the amount of advertising dollars they expect to get in revenue. This is at the higher end of what we typically see, but it is possible with great strategy and content. Don't give up on those high ROI targets just yet. Number 2, once you get upwards of, say, 1,000 orders per day, as in Hayley and Andy's story, it is essential that you start considering an automated warehouse management solution. It will likely be one of the most expensive and complicated technology investments you will make, but it will increase efficiencies dramatically and allow you to scale if you get it right. Number 3, I think we can universally agree that making the bed is a shit activity. Now imagine having to do it up to 30 times in a photo shoot. I loved when Hayley talked about turning dreaded tasks like making the bed into fun team building activities. See if you can take those activities that are really dreaded in your organisation and give them a new perspective and a bit of fun that can actually work as a team building activity. Great tip.
To finish up, I have 3 resources for you. Firstly, if you're a first-time listener of Add to Cart and you want to stay up to date with new episodes, head over to addtocart.com.au and you can sign up for our weekly newsletter. We'll let you know every time a new episode drops, as well as giving you my 3 takeaways from each episode and a link to the transcripts so you can know that this is an episode that you want to dive straight into. Secondly, if you want a weekly roundup of the best e-commerce case studies, tools and research, sign up to the High Five Friday newsletter, which is delivered to inboxes at 8 a.m. every Friday morning. I read all the e-commerce news and send you the bits that I think you can take action from. Sign up at 12high12high.com.au/high5. And the last thing, if you are looking to explore your next e-commerce opportunity, head over to esuitetalent.com.au. We are a dedicated e-commerce talent agency connecting the best e-commerce talent with the fastest growing brands. Check it out, sign up to the email and get in touch with me if you want to discuss your next move. Until next time, thanks for listening and keep those customers adding to cart.